Welcome to Pressure Points. Our topic is Tesla earnings, and as of this recording, which is about an hour after the earnings call ended, shares are up 1.8%. They had peaked at up 3.8%, kind of gave something back a little bit during the earnings call, but overall, a positive quarter and an optimistic outlook related to what's going on in autonomy. I'll start with the pressure point, which was any key updates on autonomy. And the first thing was this new metric they're giving out, which is FSD subscriptions. And as someone who was a longtime analyst and now for the past decade been an investor in tech, is that when companies take away and give metrics, it's a read in terms of their confidence in the metric. And so now they're giving this metric out for the first time. Those were up 30% year over year. That would be the 38% year over year. That's the number of FSD subscriptions. And that outpaced the growth of the cumulative installed base of vehicles, which is up about 20%. And so we had the subscriptions growing faster than the base, which is a sign that the adoption is starting to quicken. That is, to me, probably the most important part, because from that flows what happens with Robotaxi, and then to a lesser extent what happens with Optimus. But that to me was the pressure point, the fact that they are now giving away FSD subscription metrics, which might seem, again, a little bit underwhelming, but I want to dive a little bit more into that. FSD is making, I think, more progress than most people realize. And yes, we see it in that 38% subscription growth, but just my own personal experience is that it has made a remarkable improvement over the last 3-6 months. And Elon on the call was asked when it's going to be 100%, and he still used the word paranoid and used the word cautious and wouldn't give any timing on when he thought he would get there. But I think the substance of this is that my own experience, and I think for those of you who have experienced the most recent version, you would agree that it is quite remarkable. And I think the market doesn't fully understand that piece. So we're getting closer to a point where people are going to increasingly value what's going on with FSD. There's a little bit of a nuance to the changes as they get rid of the upfront $8,000 and go to a $99 a month in terms of how that impacts margins. I just want to quickly talk about that. The stock pulled back a little bit, a couple percent on that update, but effectively, since they're not going to be recognizing a chunk, it's usually like $3,000 initially, it's just going to be the $99 of high margin business. It does impact the overall margins. By my estimate, it would take the automotive gross margins ex credits from 17.9%, what they just reported, down to 16%, just to give you some context about the impact on margins. But overall, FSD continues to move forward, and the fact that they're showing us those numbers now, I think, is evidence of they think this metric is going to show well in the future. Second update related to autonomy is on the Robotaxi fleet. They talked about the middle of this year adding 7 new cities. They had talked about 8 to 10 total cities, which would mean adding 6 to 8 throughout calendar 26. But now they're going to do that in the first half of the year. And then he said more than a dozen by the end of the year. And so just the kind of the pace of the Robotaxi rollout, he mentioned that the number of vehicles will be doubling kind of month over month, kind of growing exponentially. So a pretty high bar there. But again, I think that all plays into confidence, increasing confidence that they're having in the competency of FSD. Elon said there's still problems with it, complicated intersections, but it is making some meaningful improvements. But that impacts kind of the Robotaxi rollout. Fun fact, if you look at what the growth is with Waymo this year and add in Tesla to that, it's just over 1.5% of total ride-sharing miles will likely be autonomous. We're just scratching the surface. The third topic in terms of Optimus, not a lot there, said that we're still in more or less testing phase. He referred to as R&D phase, and so he expects to be selling them next year, but really wasn't any big X factors around that. So that was the pressure point. The one topic that did not get addressed is how to think about deliveries for calendar 26. That did not come up. They did not give any feedback on that. The street's looking for up, I think, about 7%. in calendar 26 over 25. My sense is it's going to be flattish. As long as it's flat, I think it's going to be a positive. If it ends up being down 10%, that's a problem. I don't think we'll get there, in part because of these lower priced Model Y and X. So those are the big ones. A quick postscript, kind of say goodbye to the S and X. Potentially those are going to be collector's items now. I just love the fact that the company is focusing, again, on models that are going to be higher volume, Model Y, Model 3, and the Robotaxi, the Cyber Cab. And again, this all kind of plays into the importance of FSD and the progress that it's made. So the one-liner is FSD is making progress, and that kind of feeds the whole business. And on behalf of Pressure Points, I'm Gene. Bye for now.